and over again, this city council continues to find ways to limit the way people can make public comment.
Welcome to The Source with your host, Dr. C.T. Curry. And co-hosts, Coby Owens and Shané Darby. News all across the nation. The Source. Stay in the loop in the city of Delaware. Teamwork for a change in the community. A call to action to find the resources. The Source. Latest in news. Come on.
Good evening. This is Dr. Curry.
This is Coby Owens.
Shané Darby.
And welcome to The Source. What another week. It's been hot, very hot in some situations, but there are times when people say it's hot. I don't know because I'm in this air-conditioned facility. But this week in the news on Wednesday, there was a shooting where 2 people were shot in Wilmington. That is nothing to celebrate, but do you know anything about it at all?
Yeah, it happened in the 1000 block of Brown Street. And again, the concerning thing here is, one, it was a teenage male, a 17-year-old teenage male, but then also a 68-year-old man, right? They were both transported to the hospital in stable condition. And as of right now, no further details have been given out about the ongoing investigation or any health conditions for either one of them. I'm glad that both of them were transported in stable condition.
Do anyone know whether or not it was related where they shot each other, or is the person's on the fleet? That's the only information we got. Okay, I was trying to do some research to find that out. What district is that in? Brown Street.
Browntown is 6th district.
6th district.
Yeah, Councilman McCoy.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't hardly hear too much from that district. So that must have been a mistake. Somebody ran out of one district into the other.
Well, I mean, gun violence doesn't have any bounds.
Okay.
Right? I will say that it seems as though that policing happens better in certain neighborhoods. Oh. And I'm not saying in the 6th district, I'm definitely saying in the 8th district, which deters crime and pushes it other places. I definitely believe that sometimes people use organized chaos, right? To help bring down values of homes and neighborhoods so that their friends and developers can come in and buy up in masses property and then redevelop that.
Well, you're quick on your feet because I wasn't even going there, but you took it to gentrification and everything else. I see.
Listen, I have that on my mind today.
Well, for those individuals who were shot, we certainly send out our prayers and thoughts and prayers to them. But I do hope and trust that there will be more information so that the community will be able to know, one, that it happened and it was in the paper, so they are aware that it happened. But then what are the steps after it happened? A 68-year-old man, that's scary because that's a different type of shooting as I look at it. The 17-year-old, we're becoming almost accustomed to our youth being shot. But when it comes out to a senior being shot, then I really want to know the details and why that all occurred. And at some point, I hope we can get the license to be able to go interview people to see what was going on and what was happening. Anything else on any of the violence in the city?
I haven't heard anything else. But, as, again, the summer months, kids are out now, you're going to see more stuff happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, we're just going to have to keep everybody, keep the city in prayer and keep our police department in prayer. I happen to run into a couple of them at the Dunkin' Donuts every morning, and I let them know, wow, sometimes I am very critical of their administration. I am not critical of them as individuals because many of them put their lives on the line every day for our city, but they have to have direction. They have to have, leadership. Let me move a little to something more national. Right now, we're in the midst of I would call it a pandemic, and you can fault me for my language because Donald Trump is on the verge of probably getting back into the White House, based on the polling. Okay, and we know the pollings have been wrong before, but right now it's becoming concerning. I know that there's what we call the liberal side of the Democratic Party as well as the progressive side of the Democratic Party. I hope I'm saying the language right. You can always correct me because I'm not really out there like that. Where I'm concerned, and before I get to my last point and go to a commercial break, is the strategy of the liberals because of this war in Gaza. is the strategy of the liberals really going to benefit Donald Trump? Because understanding some of the language you have used, absolutely you're not supporting Biden, and absolutely you're not supporting Trump. The question is, not supporting the other, who are you really supporting?
And that's your opinion, and I support any opinion that you have about it, but I'm not supporting anyone. I don't believe when the vote for specifically African Americans, the vote means that that fight, I don't think that fight necessarily was to vote, but to have the option to exercise it if I want, right? Because I am an American, and the very basis of that is that I can make a decision on how I want to move. No one should be forced to do anything. And I think deciding to participate or not participate, to vote or not to vote, whatever that person's reason is participating. Right. So that's just my stance and viewpoint on voting in general, is that it's not you have to vote and you have to vote Democrat and you have to vote Biden. People have options. They can do what they want. That's what it's about being American. So for me, I don't fault people who say they don't want to vote, right? My conversation then is not forcing them to vote, but why? Maybe we could have a conversation around that and organize and build on that, right? And if people do vote, okay, why do you vote? And then I have an issue with people who just vote Democrat just to vote Democrat because that's what they've been told to do. I don't like stuff like that. That's just me personally, right? And I think why more black vote, this time Donald Trump has more black support. I also want to say as young black people that I hear it from, like the younger generation, because they're tired of following what the older generation did. They see that it hasn't worked, right? That under Joe Biden, it's not working. They don't like the genocide that's happening, right? So those conversations have to be had, and we have to be realistic. We can't act like under this Democratic Party that black people have fared well.
Yeah, and let me just push back a little bit because, and I don't usually do this, but I have to. Yes, it is some of the younger people who are doing it, but when you say that what has not happened, under no president of the United States, even Barack Obama, did black people advance more with student loans. And I'm just going to say something off the top of my head, with less low. The unemployment rate is much lower now in black communities than it has ever been. To say Biden has not done anything, I think is ill-informed. I think people are ill-informed because of one issue. Their issue, and I'm going to tell you something Kissinger said, who's a former, not councilman, but yeah, he was a former representative in Congress. But Kissinger said these words. He said, "I am a Republican. By right, I should be voting for Republicans. But I'm going to vote for Biden for one reason. Not because I agree with his policies, but because I want to save democracy." To say that, look, people have a right to vote, they have a right not to vote, you are absolutely correct. And we're going to support that. But what I cannot buy is that people not understanding that not voting helps the person who can make it 10 times worse for the community in which we call ourselves representing. Mm-hmm. My opinion.
That's your opinion. Yeah. And I respect an electoral college and all of that. When you look at the system and historically understanding all of that, you can have yours and I'm gonna have mine. Mm-hmm. And I think that's fine. And I also think that I hate when the other side always try to argue, the other side is ill-informed. I actually read policy. I follow Joe Biden. I'm not a fan of Barack Obama. Yeah. I don't like people just because they're black. Right? I don't do stuff like that. I'm very well read and I still have my same position.
Right. Right. But me giving my spin is not to say you're illiterate and just be told what you're told. But sometimes ill-informed means what you're reading is read with the wrong slant. I'm saying now it's a bigger picture. It's bigger than the war in Gaza. We who came here on slave ships, in my opinion, we have a lot to argue about. We have a lot to talk about how we were treated and still being mistreated. But when you're dealing with a country that's getting ready to go into a zone where we will lose everything we've built up, because there's no guardian rails to stop him from doing what he wants to do. then we need to make a decision. Should I stick to my one issue, two issues that I am very pissed off about? Or should I just say, you know what, let me make the conscious decision, hold him accountable and this party accountable? Because many times I hear
holding the party accountable. You can't even hold the Wilmington Democratic Party accountable.
Well,
they're a hot mess.
No, you can hold people accountable because you can vote, and if you vote strong enough, because I know you're going to talk a little bit later about what happened in New York, but even when you vote and you vote strong as a people, I remember when they said you could never have a black mayor in the city of Wilmington, but we ended up with one because all the black folks came together and said, we gonna vote. And the first black mayor of the city of Wilmington will tell you, there were many had tried before. It could not happen. But when they came together collectively, it changed. When you got an individual isolated voice, no, nothing changes. But when you have a collective body, everything changes.
Yeah, I don't see that happening today, but go ahead.
Well, it can happen. It can happen. I'm sorry. It's like me and Shané.
No, y'all good. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, no, y'all go ahead, because I know y'all gonna vote for Biden. Y'all gonna do your thing.
I'm very much going to.
Y'all are diehard Democrats.
But I'm not diehard Democrat.
Y'all can go ahead and do that.
I am not diehard Democrat.
And I support y'all in that. I support you in that, and I support you, and I just don't agree with it. And that's fine.
But let me just clear the record. I am very much going to support Biden for no other reason, because I know what the alternative is, and I know what it's going to do to our people and to this country. However, I am not a diehard Democrat, because if the Republicans would just grab hold to a couple of other things that I think they need to grab hold to, I would be a Republican.
Yeah, I'm not bought to anybody, to any party.
But nobody has ever, no island has ever made a difference in the world. None. It's just there. It has to be occupied, or it has to be, something has to happen where that has joined the forces. And right now, I know as a pastor, I personally need help of people, things. So I cannot help the people who need me if I'm against everything that can help them help me. Building this building that we just built taught me some lessons. And I'm gonna be very honest with you. We pay for everything. East Zion Fair paid for the Holiness Center. East Zion Fair paid for this church. But when we decided to build these senior affordable houses, I found out something. I found out how dirty some people are. I found out how horrible some things happen in life, and how politically, if you're not supporting certain people, things just doesn't happen. The way the mayor treated us after all the work we've done, yes, I saw it when I went for help, because there was none. But we still were able to accomplish it because I started saying, you know what, let me back down a little bit and move forward because of my people need me. My opinion of the mayor for the city of Wilmington is that he has not done anything to help us. But what I realize right now is he is in a seat of power. Every permit I would try to get had been blocked, and at this point now it has been released because I've joined forces with some other forces who have helped me to say, you know what, we're not gonna let this happen. It's about coming together, and Biden has not done everything that I think he should have done, but he's done way more than anybody else when it comes down to my community, the people I represent.
And that's your perspective and your understanding of it. And I respect it.
And that's why I'm not going to say, but I just don't want you to say that, you know, y'all forcing me, it's about you, to vote. I'm not forcing you to vote. I'm forcing us to consider, you know, what's on the table. That's all I'm asking.
And I see what's on the table. There's no discrepancy in that. It's just that you came from a different perspective, and I do, with the same thing on the table, and that's fine, and that's okay. We live in America. It's okay for people to vote or not to vote. It's okay for people to go vote for Donald Trump. I am not upset when someone tells me to vote for Donald Trump. My thing is, okay, why? I always ask, like, well, why are you not voting? Why? Okay, I'd like to hear your perspective, and that's it for me. I'm not, oh my gosh, you're terrible and this.
Oh, no.
That's what that group of people usually do.
But I don't think, well, I've not done it even with you.
I've never done that.
And I don't do that. If a person's vote, the man was in what do you call that place where you buy food, BJ's. He had on a Donald Trump hat. And I said to him, I said, sir, you supported Mr. Trump? He said, yes, President Trump. I said, no, he's not the president. Biden is the president. He went back and forth with me. And I said to him, why are you getting angry? He said, because I want to make sure you understand it was stolen. I said, no, calm down, bro. I said, you're talking to an educated black man. I understand it wasn't stolen. And understand that you may be brainwashed. And it's fine with me. And
he's making the same thing about you.
No. But the anger.
I will say, but there is a reality though, right?
Like,
the election, like it or not, the election Biden did win the election, right? Like that's what it is. He won the electoral college. He won it by the same amount that Trump beat Hillary by. I accepted it when Trump won. I accepted it when Biden won. I accepted it when Obama won. I was too young for Bush, right? But again, that is just a reality, and I think that's where a lot of the back and forth goes as well too. There's some things you just can't argue, right? It's not a thought of opinion. This is fact, right?
Here it is.
The fact, whether you like it or not, Hillary Clinton lost the electoral college, but won the popular vote. That's a fact.
And then in democracy, you got to go off the
electoral college. That's just
so
a
she
fact,
had to
right?
concede
until Congress and a president signs a bill to change and get rid of the electoral college. That is how the system works, right? This is why you have to elect people who are willing to change the system. But you can't just change it and make it apply to yourself when you want it to work for your narrative. That is what I will fight back against.
And I'm gonna be very honest with you, so that we can be very clear. The Democrats have some mess with them. Let me assure you. And I keep saying, I am a registered Democrat. I do not agree with a lot of their policies, and I do not agree with a lot of their politics. But I got to think about, I am not here as Chris Curry. I'm here as, whether it be Dr. Curry, Pastor Curry, Leader Curry. I am here for that, which means my people are dependent upon me to get some things done. And some things are reality, some things are conspiracy. And the reality is this: he is the president, Donald Trump is not. Donald Trump, if he wins, he will be the president. We can't change it, but we got to at some point say, you know what, let's deal with reality as opposed to that. And right now the stakes are so high, the reality can become. But I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm not saying you're a bad person because you're not voting for Biden or you're not voting for Trump. I'm saying let's have the conversation, because one day we're going to wish we had a conversation.
But you don't want to have a conversation. You want to convince people to go your way.
No. I want to be, let's get to you right
that's
real
what
quick.
you want me
I'm
to
going to
do.
bring it to you. I want to convince you to vote.
Yes, that's what you want to do.
Because if you don't vote, then you don't have a voice. And when things go wrong, why
do
are you
have a voice.
Well, matter of fact, one of the charges that the city council put on you was that you vote against the budget, but you use it to your credit. I said, what do you mean? And they were very clear. She vote every time against the budget because there's certain things in it she don't like, and because it ain't go her way. But she's quick to utilize every fund that is given to her. That is hypocrisy. That is because if you're really against the budget, you would not use the budget. So that's what I'm trying to.
How can I not use the budget?
How can you not vote? If
my pay comes out the budget. What do you mean?
You're voting against the budget every time
that's
automatically,
stupid.
and you give your reason for why you're voting against the budget, and it's always because of specific line items, not in general. If it is in general, then that's that indictment that they may be having against you is that, well, why is she so much against the budget? Why does she use it?
How am I not going to use the budget? My pay comes out the budget. My discretionary funds come out the budget. What do you mean? I'm like, what? That's stupid.
So I get what they're saying, right? And let's say I agree with that logic, right? Like, all right, if you vote against the budget, you shouldn't use the budget. Well, how about a better system? No, a better system is let's do line by line. Let's vote on things. Stop looping everything in. Because this is what they do here in city council. This is what they do on county council. This is what they do in the state. They try to force people's hands to vote for things because you may have 5 good things in the budget, right? I'm not speaking for Councilwoman Darby, but I know she supports the housing program. I know she supports assistance for water billing and stuff like that, right? That's also in the budget. But then they put really bad stuff in there as well, too. And say, well, if you care about these programs, just vote for it. That's not how it really should be.
Well, then the push should be line item. Then give an alternative.
They're not going to do it. Y'all talking in circles at this point. They're not
going to do it, but they just like using talking points to try to go after certain people who don't agree with them. That's what I'm saying.
This time next year, not even this time, let's say in December.
They have no morals or character.
In December, once the election is over, we will sit back and be able to have a better conversation where it won't be like my agenda is for you to vote for Biden, or my agenda is for you to vote for anybody. My agenda is very clearly, we must use our voice. Our voice is our vote. And sometimes it is this compromise because, like I said, there are things I don't agree with. I just don't agree with. But I also know that out of the time that I've been around, I've noticed that when we come together collectively, it works. But this whole thing about the black voters with Donald Trump, I think it's more a ploy, and it's going to be this way. It's not that more people are voting for Donald Trump who are black men. It's really going to be more the couch sitting home, and that is a vote for Donald Trump, and he knows that, and he's smart enough to understand it's enough people who are not going to vote because they're angry, especially about the Gaza war. But there's a couple other things they're angry about, and because
it's way more.
And unlike the Republicans, who I don't care if it's Daffy Duck, if it's a Republican, I'm voting for him. We blame it on the Democratic Party. We're a big tent. We have our own opinions. We don't vote when we don't agree with it, and the Republicans understand it. That's why they're smaller than we are, but they understand that he got enough people that ain't gonna vote, and we got enough people who are gonna vote. That's how we're gonna take it over. The last thing I wanted to just talk about real quick is the mayoral candidate surrogates debate. It's coming up on July the 7th, next Sunday. It's going to be live and popping here on what's going to be not on the Source. I might even play it on the Source just because it's going to be important to do so. But we're going to make sure we play it and air it so you can see it. We're going to be asking some very, very good questions. It's going to be around 4 different areas. One is going to be about violence in the city. As you all know, the Surgeon General have declared public health issue with the violence, the crime, the violence that is happening in and around our country. And we're going to deal with affordable housing. That's going to be one of the questions. Is going to be dealing with the policies that each candidate proposes. And finally, we're going to give each of the surrogates an opportunity to share the policies that they do not like about the other candidate, so that we can get a strong, robust debate going. And I'm looking forward to it. This will be my first sit-down debate, and I'm very grateful to both Mrs. Potter's campaign as well as Governor Carney's campaign. Both of them did not give any pushback. Yes, we can do it. We'll send you a person, so forth and so on. Anything from you, sir?
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. But I would love to know who the surrogates are.
I know you would love to know, and nobody won't know until they appear here. And when I saw the surrogates, I happen to know both of them. And it's going to be really good. It's going to be popping. I'm looking forward to it. Listen, make sure you set your time. The first time you will see it aired will be on Sunday, July 7th at 11 o'clock a.m. I hope I'm right. If I'm wrong, they'll put it up there right, but that's what we're going to do, and it's going to be nice. Yes, there will be 2 surrogates, and they will be here, and it's going to be fun. We're going to get an opportunity. I'm going to stay neutral, and I'm going to ask the questions for clarity. I'm going to make sure that both candidates are trying to answer the questions so that we can give it out, and this will give a chance to see some of the supporters who are supporting these candidates and why they're doing it. That's one of the questions that I am going to ask too. Why are you particularly supporting it? So that should help bring out some of the character. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
New guests, new conversations, new stories every Sunday at 11 a.m. Grab your cup of coffee and tune in with Dr. Curry for our weekly episodes of Coffee with Curry.
And we're back. Great first segment. Let's see what's going on with Shané's Scoop on the street. I don't know if we give you all kind of answers there.
Yeah, Shané Scoop. So I know the last time we spoke, I had talked about a piece of legislation that Councilmember Nathan Field was introducing around a noise ordinance, right? And then when I first read it, I was like, oh, noise. All right, whatever. I didn't think about protesters. But he called me and told me that this was about the protesters at the senators' homes because of what's happening. Well, any protest really it would impact, but this was specifically about protesters in regards to the genocide that's happening with the killing of people in Gaza. Mm-hmm. So in that, they wanted to pass this legislation that would stop them from limit the noise they make. They want them to protest quietly or at the office of senators where they're not there. I'm barely at Wilmington City Council office, right? That's just not how this job works. You don't sit in the office. So they wanted to basically restrict how...
Just real quick, council members don't even show up in chamber for council meetings, especially if they think something's going to be controversial. They all jump online.
Yes.
Including Nathan.
Yeah, so Nathan, at the meeting, almost all the city council people came. Well, the majority of them came, went virtual. They didn't even come to the meeting because they know that a lot of people are going to come and talk about the legislation. However, the legislation was actually held, meaning that Nathan did not want to talk about it that night. He took it off the agenda pretty much. And the reason why, because of that, is that he didn't have enough votes all of a sudden. So he didn't have enough votes. And actually, he felt the pressure from the community. They were calling them. They were sending emails. They had organizations sending letters out to them. One thing about that group, they organized, right? And they put pressure on city council to say, do not pass this noise ordinance, which is targeted protesters, right? It's trying to limit and restrict their rights to how they can protest. So it did not pass. It did not happen. But one disappointing thing that happened, every single time I am embarrassed. I don't know what camera I need to look at. I am so embarrassed to be on the city council over and over again. I don't care if it's an all black city council, all skin folks, ain't kin folks. Over and over again, this city council continues to find ways to limit the way people can make public comment. It is so disappointing. And from one of the newest people, Councilmember Vincent White, who represents the 1st District, made a motion to limit public comment.
Really?
Yes, to limit it because they did not, and the crazy part, we still were there really late. And we wasn't late because of the people. We were late because they always talking about nothing that has anything to do. I need to start yelling out, point of order, let's get to the point.
You better. That'll help me see it.
So
don't be mad.
It's so disappointing is because they claim and on TV in our meetings, we want people to come. We want y'all to participate. But then when we create avenues for them to participate, they take it away from them. They limit it. They restrict it. So Councilmember White and all the other council people who went along to vote and pass that so that we can limit it to like an hour, I think we had for public comment. It is so I'm so disappointed to be on the city council. They're embarrassing.
Now help me to understand. I don't know if you know the answer to this, or you need to get the answer somehow. Can the city council president, I know they took a lot of power from him once Hanifa did what she did. All the power from the president went away. But like public comment, can that become legislation? That every meeting, at least 2-hour public hearing or whatever, can that become?
It's funny that Vincent White was the one who did this because the person who he replaced, Linda Gray,
she wanted more public comment.
When she was on council before the 2020 election, she got a resolution passed that created public comment on individual pieces of legislation.
Which was good.
So it gave the opportunity for the public to give their comments. After the first set of comments given by council members on debate, then the public could come give theirs. Then they would go back to the council to finish up and then go ahead and vote on it. This council changed the rule on that.
This council changed
on
the January 5th.
So that means on January the 5th
of
2021, the day before the insurrection, this council did their own version of it.
Because Shané wanted me to have lunch with somebody. Your person rules, because this is all her doing. Okay, her and her little clique of people up there making sure that the president of city council had no power. All of this happened in this session. But finish your comments.
They changed the rule back to just put it before legislative business. You have public comment. You get 3 minutes, right? And
hold up, it was even worse. They then said you had to be a Wilmington resident to make public comment. But there was really no way to prove that. So it's in our code, our rules we have. But how are you going to do that?
Absolutely.
Y'all don't even make sense in what y'all passing.
It's funny because they all take money and advice from Bacini Pollen, and they don't live in the city of Wilmington. They take advice from business owners in the city of Wilmington all the time, have them come speak, give them awards. I mean, they give resolutions to anything now. And most of these people don't live in the city of Wilmington. That's where their priority is. It's kind of messed up. But back to my point, Linda fought for this, and unfortunately she passed away. May she rest in peace. But for Vincent to make that motion, right? Granted, it wasn't even a lot of people in person. It was maybe 10 people there, and you have the first 30 minutes is guaranteed, right? 30 minutes. That means at least 10 people can speak if everyone gets 3 minutes. He made this motion as soon as Council President Congo said it's time for public comment.
I love what Linda Gray wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to
that's
talk
how
about
it is
parking,
on county
if
council.
we're going to talk about parking, okay, now let's hear some public comment.
So then I brought the resolution back. I said, and in the name of our late Councilwoman Linda Gray, I would like to bring back the public comment, because I was like, oh, this is a different council. Some people have passed away.
Right.
There's some new appointed people. Maybe there's a different energy to say, let's make sure people have more opportunities to participate, right? So I go and do that, and they vote it down. Then, mind you, this is their argument. Councilmember McCoy and them, and Councilmember Oliver, they'll say, oh, have them come to committee meetings. Committee meetings start at 5 p.m. What's the time do most people get off work?
5.
Okay, 5 p.m.
5:30.
Then, let me tell you, at the last Public Safety Committee, Councilmember McCoy, the president of the Public Safety Committee, you know what she did to public comment? She limited. So you're telling people
To come.
and
then
they try to participate, and you say you're limiting public
Well,
comment.
you know what you should do? Go ahead.
It blows my mind. This city council has a history of limiting the way that people interact with them. They do not want you to. They act like they want to. Oh, come to a committee meeting, and then you come to a committee meeting, and she looks y'all in the face and say, "I gotta go pick up my son, so I'm ending public comment right now." That's what y'all get from this city council.
Well, what needs to happen is when y'all put the agenda together for the next session, and I hope y'all, it won't be the new people who elected, but it'll be the current council. We need to put the pressure on how the new rules will be. Because behind closed doors, now this is how it goes now. Behind closed doors, they're going to get together and say, who's going to be the pro tem, who's going to do this, who's going to do that, and this is the rules. For the president of city council to have no power is egregious.
Yep, they did that.
But I know they did. And that's why I was so hard on Hanifa Shabazz, because I know they did that on purpose.
And Cassandra Marshall, who's on the Wilmington Democratic Party, one of the leaders in there. You want to talk about them too?
It needs to be changed. It's only the council. I don't know her, so that's why I didn't say anything about her.
Yeah, she's included.
But it's the council, and we need to come up with an agenda of how the council should be run, including public comments. Put it up and let them vote on it. And let's bring it to the public. Bring it to the public. Shame people to truth. Shame people to do what is right. And you may say that doesn't matter. It does, because they are paying attention. And I think even though the election will be over, we need to know when we come together next year that this council, people want to say Trippy is not doing anything. He can't do anything. I know that.
Yeah, so when
I'm not a fan of any of these people.
when those 7 people who voted to take power away from Trippy, from President Congo, when they say that to me, I look them dead in their face and say, but you were part of the Deadly 7 on January 5th of 2021 who took the power away. How can you sit here and say that? I said that to Councilmember Oliver, and she just looked there stupid.
Don't say that word. You can't say that. You can't say that. Don't say that. She just looked as if somebody with lights, deer lights in there. Don't use that word, because then you'll get me in trouble. I don't want to be in trouble no more. But let me just say this. I think that needs to happen. It needs to happen now. It needs to start happening now, because what happens is once with the new council rules for the next council term, we need to start building it now.
This is my solution to it, because they're not going to vote on a rule change.
They're not.
But if they don't want to sit through long council meetings and hear from the public, stop doing bills that the public hates. When you do good bills, do you get yelled at? Do you get big crowds? Do you get the mayor coming out saying we the mob? Steady mobbing? Like, that is what you should do. You should be paying attention to what the community likes and don't like. If you are complaining about having to sit through 4 or 5 straight council meetings of having 25, 50, 100 people giving public comment, maybe you're not doing something right.
And what makes it even more funny, the night when I presented Councilmember Linda Gray's legislation again, this is where their reasoning why. They didn't want to stay too late. And then somebody else says, I got kids. I mean, what if people have kids? They don't want to be here late. I am the biggest single mom on city council. Okay? I have 3 little school-age kids, right? And I know 2 days out the month, I have to organize so that my kids get to their activities, they're somewhere.
And if they could, you would make a decision not to run, right?
Yeah, I would make a decision not to run. So, I made a decision that on those 2 nights, I need to make arrangements for my family. Okay? So to make an excuse about your family or outside things for 2 days out the month is unacceptable to me.
Well, I can hear him saying, well, we do other things during the week. We got to have committee meetings.
Well, if you can make it to ribbon cuttings, if you can be in every photo op, if you can be in events that not even have anything to do with the city, but you use city money to get tickets and everything, then you can make time to be at these council meetings.
But what needs to happen, and I'm going to ask, I'm going to give a call in. I know you have an inside to Brother Trippy, but I really need, could you do me a favor, one or either one, because you inside the city council, you outside the city council. Somebody needs to get me the rules. What council is this? 105th?
108th.
I need to know the rules of 107.
Yeah, they're online.
I need to know, no, 107. And what we want to do is we want to review them. And we want to say, what's wrong with this? All the past presidents of city council have had good success out of the rules. Why did they dramatically change?
Yep, and then another thing is they took the power away from him to select his chief of staff.
Yeah, that's a part of it.
Yeah, that's a part of it. So that's another big issue or deal. So now we have a chief of staff who boldly supports John Carney outright on his committee, right? So now I don't trust her. I didn't trust her before, and she already knows that. She has not been a great chief of staff, and then she publicly, boldly in our face says she's supporting John Carney. She's on his women's committee raising money. Now, there has never been a history, and I went down and called my mentors, the people who've been here for a minute. Has there ever been a time that the chief of staff of council been misinvolved into a mayor election?
You don't have to.
They told me no.
Yeah. Well,
I had to ask. I'm
because
new.
It's a political appointment, and you want to be careful not to make any
but she didn't even care. Okay. She just outwardly just said she's going to support, and that's the problem.
I do want to make a correction there, because I do know other chief of staffs who have been outwardly not only for council people, but for mayor candidates as well too in the past as well too. So
yeah, now I don't see when she said, I kind of agree with her, because even I remember one time with Charlotte, she was the chief of staff for
under Ted,
right, and she was very neutral, even though privately I knew.
Yeah, privately you could do what you want,
but publicly I don't know too many people. You said you know some. I don't know of any. I've not been around the city of Wilmington as long as y'all have, but the few I've been around, it has always been discreet. I remember one time we had a debate here at East Zion Fair, and Charlotte said, look, I can't get involved in that. Wanting to, but cannot get involved in that because I don't want to give the appearance.
The chief of staff works with us. Yes. It's supposed to.
Yeah.
Because she does. She hasn't since she's been.
Okay.
She's supposed to work with us on the day-to-day of like how I run as a council. There's times I wonder how the administration knew something or da-da-da-da. She's on their side.
Who's the chief of staff now?
Her name is Mona Parkin something.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to be sure. You got one more thing you want to talk about, but all I want to say is I want to see both of those rules, and then maybe we're going to use a source to just talk about it.
Right.
Because I think that's going to be important so people can understand. Because I hear them talking about Trippy. He ain't doing that. How can he do something?
Y'all took
It's a ceremonial position now. They took all the stuff that Theo Gregory and Ted was able to do. He can't do none of that.
He doesn't even control the agenda. He can't even control the agenda.
And that's just inappropriate and it's wrong. But I don't want to get excited because I get excited too.
So the last thing is like talking about this bought campaign. So what made me think of this is I usually don't get too involved on national level stuff. Like I read it. Keep it moving. I'm more concerned with local, and I think that's where the focus should be. But that's another combo. But there was Jamaal Bowman in New York. So he lost the election, and they were saying when I was reading it that the other opponent, I can't remember his name, but he raised George Latimer. He raised like a record amount of money
he did.
Against Jamaal Bowman, and Jamaal Bowman was one of the first people to sign on for a ceasefire for what's happening in Gaza, right? So for me, I thought, as they said in the newspaper, a lot of pro-Israel groups and those PACs back the other Democrat, the more conservative
George
one.
Latimer.
And then the more liberal one, Jamaal Bowman, he wasn't able to raise as much money as the other guy and lost. And he considered like this group of like young, liberal, black leaders in Congress.
The squad.
The squad. I'm local level.
I understand.
But yeah, so the squad, and he's the first person in that squad to go, right? So now they're probably going to work down that squad to try to eliminate each one.
But you know, one of the things that I was saying, and I never paid attention to it until you made a comment a while back, and you said, you know, who fund you, run you. I didn't quite understand that, but it sounds good. It's a good cliche, but it's starting to make sense now that when those who had funded you or even funding you, if you're not doing what they tell you to do, they will remove you, and that's scary. That is very scary.
Yep, you got it. Who has money can play in the game.
Okay, well, I ain't got none, so I'm gonna stay in the pulpit.
Before we go off of that, it wasn't that Lattimore individually raised more money, right? He raised $5.7 million. Bowman raised $4.3 million. That's not a huge difference.
Absolutely.
My issue is $17.3 million of outside spending came in against Jamaal Bowman. 17.3 in a U.S. House race.
Yeah.
That is a record.
Yeah.
The most expensive ever in the 400 something years of this country that we've had a Congress. The record for what they spent to get a black public school principal out of Congress, because not only did he speak up on the genocide that is happening over in Gaza and Palestine, but because he signed on to things like the Green New Deal to say we need a better environment here for the future generation. AIPAC put $17 million up against him.
Wow.
That is hard to overcome.
And that's scary. That's very scary.
But when we think about it on a local level, that is what's happening too. So we think about it on the big level.
Money.
We need to understand that this is happening here in Delaware, in Wilmington, where if they don't like you, they will recruit and find people to run against you. Your own party you're a part of will do that and put someone up against you, and then they'll be funded by BP&G, mayors and their friends, people who support John Carney. All of them will start backing them. Bud Friel. They'll all start backing that person just to target you and get you out.
Yeah, and what I hope, like in your case where you run...
No, they're doing that to me now.
So if they are, then you just got to stay in touch with your constituency. Because sometimes, even though the money is strong, is big, if you keep your people understanding you're fighting for them, I think that will always win. I was just shocked. It's $17 million to do it. I was just shocked when it happened. And they are starting to talk about the squad as being dismantled. There are some things that the squad stand for I very much support 100%. And I don't think it's going to be dismantled. I think this happened. It woke everybody up. And people are going to start reacting a different way. And make sure you out there knocking on doors. Because if they go up against you, be available once the election is over in September to say, and I'm still here. Because that's going to be important. We'll be right back.
Prepare for an electrifying event that will shape Delaware's future. On July 7th at 11 a.m., E. Zion Fair Baptist Church becomes the battleground for the political surrogate debate. Witness the clash of minds as representatives from leading campaigns face off, revealing insight and secrets that could sway the course of our state. In a time when every decision counts, be there to uncover the truths and make your voice heard. Mark your calendar for July 7th at 11 a.m. The stakes are high, and the future is in your hands.
And we're back. Man, this is exhausting. So much is going on, but let's hear what's going on with Coby's Corner.
Yeah, so as I've been saying, this is the wrap-up of the General Assembly for this session. Today is the last day. They are in session right now as we're speaking. They're in session voting on the last little bit of legislation. But I do want to give an update because at the time of this show filming, there's still some outstanding bills, right? So one, I want to start with a Senate bill that I think will help move the state in the right direction, and that is SB 254. It's sponsored by Senator Darius Brown, and what that bill does, right? It creates a council to look and follow and determine where food resources are going in the state of Delaware, addressing some of the food deserts that we see not only in Wilmington but all across this state, especially downstate as well too. It also updates some terms in our code when it comes to our food asset strategy, and also looks to make additional revenue or appropriations into the food asset strategy to address food insecurity here in the state of Delaware. Anyone who knows me knows I've been talking about stuff like this for a while, including access to food for our students as well too. So this is a great initiative. It's called the Delaware Grocery Initiative. So I do want to bring that up. That is currently, it just passed the Senate. It's on to the House side.
Did you want to vote on it today?
I hope they do.
Okay.
I hope that they get this passed. It passed the Senate with 20 yes votes out of 21. So it had bipartisan support. I don't see why anyone would want to fight on this one. It does not have a huge fiscal note. I think it's a total of like $250,000 altogether. So it's not a huge fiscal note. I think this is definitely needed for the state. Moving on. One bill that still has to be voted, well, two bills that still have to be voted on is HB 70 and HB 301. They both have to do with the death penalty. HB 70 removes it from our books here in the state of Delaware, and HB 301 removes it from our Constitution of ever being able to use it again. From my understanding, HB 70 passed with overwhelming support, bipartisan support. But there is some hesitation with the constitutional amendment because some Republicans and some police Democrats, right? Former Democrats who were police officers want to be able to bring it back quickly if they need to and not have to wait for 2 sessions for a constitutional amendment to bring it back. Another bill that is up right now is HB 125. Y'all heard me talk about it at the beginning of this year. You saw the show that had Senator Lockman and Representative Ray Moore on. Representative Moore is the lead sponsor on it. It has been amended a few times, but it is on the Senate side now. We are waiting for a vote on that. And once we have a vote on that, it will go to the governor's desk. And then also 267, which is a HB 267, which is being led by Representative Sherry Dorsey Walker. That bill eliminates the ability for the state to take away your driver license or to put you in jail for failure to pay child support if you're willingly trying to pay. So what could happen, right, is say I separate from my wife, right, but it takes 2 years until the divorce is final. And she's going to keep the kids. She can file for child support for those back 2 years because the kids have been living with her. But right then and there, I could have a bill of $24,000 that I owe. Right then and there, I could be sentenced to jail, or I could have my driver's license taken away. How am I going to be able to pay down? Now you just took away my assets to get to my job, or put me in jail, and I'm definitely going to lose my job probably. So this just makes some technical corrections on that as well too, and changes the code. So again, that bill has made it through the House. It had 31 yes votes, 5 no votes, and 5 absent. 5 people took a walk on it. It is in the Senate. It was released for the Judiciary Committee, and that hopefully will be voted on very soon. Next time I'm with y'all, hopefully I can report that it had passed. A few other bills that we are waiting to be signed by the governor is HB 110, which creates access to it creates Medicaid, the ability for Medicaid to help fund abortions here in the state of Delaware, which eliminates financial barriers for individuals who need that. Anyone who knows me knows I've been working in this for a long time. I'm super supportive of this bill. I sit on the First State Abortion Funds board. We see how many people are in need, and this would eliminate a critical barrier, a financial barrier for a lot of people.
And I just want to say, for those of you who heard that, a lot of times in the African American community, as soon as we hear the word abortion, we immediately think, she was having loose sex, so therefore she wanted to get rid of her child. Abortion has a whole lot more happening. Some parents, some people,
it's none of your business.
Right, but you got more conservative, older Black people who are watching and listening, and they were brought up with a certain mindset. But then I say, well, Washington State had to pay for your mistake. But there are some people who have legitimate health issues, and they need to have abortion care. Okay, and we need to make sure that it's available. I remember when we had a big fight about us even bringing condoms into the school. That should not happen. Just teach the kids not to have sex, to be abstinent. In the life we live in now, I do think that there's some things that we need to make sure we start encouraging and educating our community better on this whole. Because a lot of people are like, I keep hearing this word abortion, and a lot of times in our community it does not resonate to the level it should. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Also, another bill that I'm super excited for, I've worked for the last 2 years. It was my very first bill this session on January, I think, 10th of 2023. We were down there in Dover for this to be introduced. Multiple committees. I think we've been in like 6 different committee hearings. We've had over 30 different meetings on it. It's another bill sponsored by Representative Shané Dorsey Walker. It's HB 191, which is to create a statewide rent escrow program for individuals who have bad landlords who aren't addressing the needs. So let's say you lose hot water. Let's say there's a huge hole in your roof, right? And your landlord's not doing anything about it. You would be able to go to the courts, open up a rent escrow account after a judge deems it necessary, and you would pay into that rent escrow account. If your landlord does not take action and does not fix the issue, you can then get that money back and go ahead and use it as a down payment on a new place, a security deposit in first month's rent. You won't lose out on your money. This is also something that could have been used on North Adams Street. This was kind of in response of that.
I think he's putting it together over there.
I think this bill was in response to that, but as we worked through this, as we worked in the community up and down, they had me in little back towns close to Seaford down there and Evansdale, Sussex. So we got to hear from a lot of people from a lot of different perspectives. We brought out the whole gambit of people who've had issues with their landlords, that this would be able to help them. In my thought, this will be one of the most impactful bills when it comes to housing that we will see in the next few years, right? People are going to be able to use this to really hold bad landlords, slum landlords accountable. It also changes the landlord-tenant code. It changes it from the outdated that you can only withhold $400 of rent. If I'm paying $2,500 and I'm only withholding $400, does that really make a difference? No. So now you can withhold the full amount and put that into the rent escrow account. So this is a key bill that I'm super excited. Again, Representative Shané Dorsey Walker was the House sponsor. Senator Marie Pickney was the Senate sponsor on this, and it's now going. Hopefully, it will be signed by the governor. It was not in his recommended general operating budget. So please, if you believe in rent escrow, please make that call to the governor's office and tell him to sign this bill. Then lastly is HB 263. Again, this prohibits school districts from punishing kids for meal debt. This is another bill done by Representative Shané Dorsey Walker. This bill says that if an individual has meal debt, you cannot prohibit them from going to graduation, homecoming, prom, playing sports, doing clubs, theater, and extracurricular activities such as those. So again, you only get to be in school one time. Whether you had a good experience or not, you should not take it away from another student. And who knows, that may be their only outlet from home, from their other stuff going on in their life. So again, they should have the opportunity to live that experience out to the fullest. So again, that is another critical bill here in Delaware. And I look forward to it being signed hopefully soon. Because a lot of people worked extremely hard on that bill. So again, and you don't see legislation like this come forward all the time. It comes because people are listening. And I will say those bills that I listed, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are sponsored by Representative Sherry Dorsey Walker, who has listened to the community and put forth good bills to change state law, because that's what you're supposed to do as a legislator. Listen to your constituents and try to do something about it. Next, I want to talk about a bill that really wasn't on my radar too much. I agreed with it. I think it would be good. But HB 282, it passed both chambers. The bill restructures some of the pension board, as well as how it operates. It would make the director of OMB, the Office of Budget and Management, the chair of that committee, and then the rest of the committee members would be able to select a vice chair. It adds more retirees to this, the pension board for the state. It is a bill that looks to bring more transparency and stop retirees who were caught unaware of the changes that they had recommended a few years ago to change and head towards Medicare Part C, which is also known as Medicare Advantage, which would have changed the benefits for a lot of retirees here in the state. This bill was vetoed by Governor Carney. And I saw it as a huge disregard to people who put in decades of work to this state, which again, they could work in one of the departments. They could be teachers, educators, and to switch them to Medicare Advantage just to save money was not the right thing to do. Representative Paul Baumbach brought forth this bill. He got it past the House and the Senate, and the governor vetoed it. But then something historic happened. The other day, in a 40-0 vote, they overrid the governor's veto. This is the first time in 47 years that they have successfully overridden the governor's veto.
That's what we were talking about.
So again, I think that showed courage of the members of the House. It has to go to the Senate side now. You need 3/5 vote to override it on that side as well too. But that shows that they listen to their constituents, and that is huge. That is huge. That is huge. And then also, so we will wait and see how the Senate will vote on that if they haven't voted already.
Interesting.
That's all I have for that section.
That's it. You got one?
I have a quick update.
All right, real quick.
So for 2024 elections, there has been some additional people who have filed for office. And like I said, I would keep people up to date. There has been a person to file for Congress against Sarah McBride. As I talked about on the show, Eugene Young did drop out, but a African-American businessman named Earl Cooper has filed to run for Congress as a Democrat against Sarah McBride. And that is the only additional statewide who has filed to run for office, but some additional people for city council have filed. And his for city council District 7, James, and I'm probably going to butcher this last name.
Delacki.
Delacki. I apologize if you're listening. Has filed to run for Council District 7. That makes it a 3-way primary with Chris Johnson, who's the incumbent, James, and then Peggy Brooks, who used to work for the city. And then outside of that, Councilwoman Darby did get a primary with John Johnson Jr. running again.
Who's the John? That's the person?
Yeah, yes. That's him. They could have came with somebody better.
He ran in 2020. And came in third, right?
Yeah, came in third.
Came in third. So, again, he is running again. And outside of that, no one else has filed yet.
Well, it's been a good show, and I appreciate you all. We only got 20 seconds, and I just want to know tonight we are filming this on Thursday. Tonight is the presidential debate. Wow. And you tuned out already. Who will win? Who will the spinners say won that debate? Who do you think is going to win the debate?
Honestly, I have no clue. I mean, debates are of opinion, right? Of who you think did the best, who performed the best. Yeah. It's going to be entertaining.
It's entertainment. Yeah. It's going to be entertainment.
Y'all took my words. I was waiting here.
It's going to be fun to watch.
And then I was going to say it's going to be entertaining.
It is going to be fun to watch.
And Trump is funny.
Yeah, but you know what? Without that crowd,
I'm sorry,
but it might not be
right.
funny.
It is
without that crowd.
It's no audience.
He may be like he on Ritalin or something.
And they also added in mute buttons for the speakers.
He'll be just talking. That would be funny too. Because they ain't gonna be able to hear them. It's gonna be interesting. Listen, we've had a great show today, and I'm sorry we're out of time. Continue to watch The Source. Next week, it's going to be the mayoral candidate Surrogate debate. It's going to be live and popping here on Channel 28, as well as on YouTube. It's going to be starting at 11 a.m. on Sunday, July 7th, and both surrogates will be here, and I'm looking forward to it. Until the next time, God bless.
Take care, y'all.
Talk soon.